Yo, what's up, guys? It is Bryce from Cold Cat Sports, and this is a very special edition of the Cold Cat Sports Show because we are going to be talking about the trade deadline and every trade that happened in 2024, 2025. Look at that. Look at that. This is just the regular season. Trades that have happened since December. We're going to talk about it. So let's go right into the first trade. Every trade I have written in here with notes. So let's talk about it. First trade of the year. Pacers received Thomas Bryant, and the Heat received a 2031 second round pick swap. For the Pacers, I give this a B because they get good depth at center. The Pacers were pretty inactive around the deadline. This is a nice James Wiseman replacement, even though I don't really know James Wiseman being replaced. If you need to replace James Wiseman, you have a problem. Then the Heat receive a 2031 pick swap. It doesn't really mean anything for the Heat because 2031, who knows what anybody's going to be doing in 2031. Next, this is one of the first big trades of the year. Well, big, I say big, figuratively. Warriors received Dennis Schroeder, 2025 second via Miami, top 37 protected, which is a B plus because it was a good backup point guard, and he could have been trade bait at the deadline, which, spoiler alert, he was. And then the Nets received D'Anthony Melton and Reese Beekman, and a 2026 second, 2028 second, 2029 second. I give this a B plus because it is they get picks and they traded a veteran for picks. So the Nets weren't very active at the trade deadline, but this was a good move they made. Which I'm surprised the Nets weren't active at the trade deadline because they had a lot of useful vets that they could have got picks out of. Okay, this is one of the three Lakers trades of the year. We had the Lakers and the Nets doing a trade. The Lakers received Dorian Finney-Smith and Shake Milton. So they got a really amazing 3-and-D wing, which is something the Lakers desperately needed. And they also get rid of D'Angelo Russell. They get off of his contract, and they get a good, nice point guard in Shake Milton as a nice bench piece. And then the Nets received D'Angelo Russell, Max Lewis, and 3 future seconds. So they get a young player in Max Lewis, and they get a scorer in D'Angelo Russell. But more importantly, they get a B plus because hold on. The Lakers get an A minus because they filled an area of need, very great need. And then the Nets would get a B plus because they got rid of DFS and they got picks and a young player and a nice bench piece. Next, we have the Suns and the Charlotte Hornets trading. We had Nick Richards in the second. They get a B because the Suns really need a center, like really bad, and so they fill a position of need and they get a really solid player at that. And then the Hornets receive Josh Okogie and 3 second-round picks, B minus because they get picks, and that's what they need right now. And then they get a good veteran piece. Next, the Jazz receive 2031 unprotected first D. Why do they trade 3 firsts to get 1? That's what I don't understand. And then the Suns receive the 2025 first, least favorable between the Rockets, or the Cavs, the Timberwolves, and the Jazz. 2027 least favorable first between, again, the Cavs, Timberwolves, Jazz. And then the 2029 least favorable first between, you guessed it, the Cavs, the Timberwolves, and I like this because they get 3 firsts for trading 1. So they get an A. Yes, that's one of the few actual positive Suns trades that they did. The next trade, the Clippers received Drew Eubanks, Patty Mills, and they get a B plus because they get decent bench depth and get off PJ Tucker's salary because PJ Tucker was wasting $8 million for the Clippers. And then the Jazz receive Mo Bamba. They waived him to create space for another trade, which we're literally going to talk about next. PJ Tucker, a 2030 second, and cash. C. Mo Bamba was already waived. PJ Tucker will not be on the roster. He's not. Newsflash. Yeah, and then they get a pick. So, can't really complain. Now, this with the trade deadline gets crazy, everybody. This is the trade that ignited everybody and made the world go crazy we have the Dallas Mavericks and the Los Angeles Lakers making a trade, and the Lakers receive Luka Doncic, Markieff Morris, and I have A with, look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pluses. A, 11 pluses. No team has ever won a trade more. They traded for Luka. Do I really need to explain myself here? No. So next, the Mavericks receive Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first round pick. They get a D plus, not because Max and AD are bad, but because they could have got way more for Luka Doncic. They didn't ask. They didn't get Dalton Knight. They didn't get Austin Reeves. And they didn't ask around for any other team. Yeah. Okay. Next, moving on to the Jazz, because this was a 3-team trade. They received Jalen Hood-Schifino, a 2025 second, a 2025 second from the Clippers. So they get 2 second-round picks this year. I give them a C+ because they get 2 seconds this year and help the Lakers get Luka and get rid of Jalen Hood-Schifino. Who knows? Jalen Hood-Schifino may turn his career around. Who knows? We'll see. But they helped the Lakers get rid of him. So, good. Okay. Next trade. This was 2 trades in a row of absolute insanity because we have the Spurs receiving De'Aaron Fox and Jordan McLaughlin. I gave them a B+. Now, why did I not give them an A+, you may ask? Well, yes, De'Aaron Fox is a great player. He's a good player. But he's an uber athletic point guard, and I just have a question of how is he going to age? Because we've seen guys like Russell Westbrook, John Wall, Derrick Rose all age horribly with them being uber athletic. It doesn't really work well. Even Robert Pack back then, he fell off a cliff. Who knows what this trade is going to look like for the Spurs in 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. Did they give up too much? Maybe. Who knows? We'll see. Time will tell. Alrighty, now we have we have 2 other teams in this trade. The Kings received Zach LaVine, Sidi Sissoko, who was already traded, 2025 first, via Charlotte, which is lottery protected, which means they're not getting me. 2027 first round pick via the Spurs, 2031 first round pick via Minnesota, 2025 second round pick via Chicago, 2028 second round pick via Denver, 2028 second round pick via Chicago. I gave them a C. They get some picks for unloading De'Aaron, but only 2 firsts as the 2025 protected first from Charlotte. It's lottery protected, which means the Charlotte Hornets are not going to make the playoffs. I mean, that pick is going to turn into 2 seconds. So they only get 2 second-round picks for 2 first-round picks for De'Aaron Fox. But that Minnesota pick may be good. Who knows? Because they may be bad very soon again. Next, we have the Bulls, because they were involved in this trade. They get Zach Collins, Kevin Huerter, Trey Jones, 2025 first via San Antonio from Chicago. They get their own pick back. They unloaded their guy, their trade piece who they wanted to get rid of, 4 picks, and didn't get any other pick than their own back. I give them a C- because they did get their own pick back, but they could have gotten way more to get rid of their guy that they were trying to trade. Okay, now we have the Hornets receive a 2029 second round pick via the Suns, C+, because it's a second, but it might be a high second as Phoenix probably going to be bad in 2029. So, who knows? Next, we have the Thunder receiving a 2030 conditional second round pick via the Nuggets. C, it's a second round pick in 5 years. So, yeah. The Mavericks receive Caleb Martin, B- because they get a good depth 3-and-D player, but still has a negative field due to them trading Luka Doncic. person, you suck. The Sixers received Quentin Grimes at a 2025 second-round pick, B-, because they get a good defensive point guard and a pick. And they probably aren't done trading. Newsflash, they weren't. Okay, next trade. Daniel Tice goes to the Thunder along with a 2031 second-round pick. They get a C+ because they get a decent center to fill in while Chet is out, and I wrote this before he was announced that he's coming back on Friday, so I look like an idiot now. Yeah, but still, it's a good depth piece, but now, maybe not as high of a pick. I mean, it's not as high. Well, no, it still stays a C+ because they get a pick, and the Thunder keep getting picks. The Pelicans receive cash. Get a B+, because who doesn't love money? And a clear roster spot. So, yeah. Okay, the Celtics receive a 2031 second, which is top 55 protected, C, because they get a pick for a player buried on their depth chart. So, you can do a lot worse. And I hate the Celtics. So if I'm saying that they didn't do a horrible job, they didn't do a horrible job. So, good job, Celtics. And then the Rockets receive Jaden Springer and a 2030 second-round pick. They have too much depth that I give them a C- because they have too much depth at the guard position, but he could make a name for himself in Houston with his defense. So, only time will tell. Okay, now we have a trade that happened yesterday morning. We have the Bucks receiving Kyle Kuzma, Patrick Baldwin Jr., who was later traded today, and the future second, C-. Even with the health issues, Chris Middleton brings more value than Milwaukee. I really don't know why they did this. Kyle Kuzma is a decent piece, but if we're thinking he's better than Chris Middleton, even with Chris Middleton's injury issues, he's not. Because he's not a good defender. Chris Middleton is at least a good defender right now. He's not the level he once was, but he's still a good defender. I don't know why I sounded like goofy kind of there. Oh well. The Wizards received Chris Middleton, A.J. Johnson, a 2028 first-round pick swap. I give them a B+ because they get a really good veteran player who they could keep or trade. They kept. And then they get a young player and a first. So, pretty good trade for the Wizards, all things considered. And then the Knicks, the Bucks received Jericho Sims, too, in this trade. I totally forgot I wrote all of this after the Knicks. I wrote all this before the Knicks were involved. So, yeah, my notes. Look, I have the Knicks getting DeLon Wright over here. So, and the Knicks received DeLon Wright. C, they get a nice defensive point guard off their bench. Okay, Pistons received KJ Martin, 2027 second-round pick via Milwaukee, 2031 second-round pick via Dallas. They get a B+ because they get a really solid veteran bench piece, get picks, one of which, Dallas's, might be a high second in 2031. Who knows? Good move. Detroit, you're actually turning into a solid team. Good job. Next we have the Sixers receiving money. And continues a C+. It continues a fire sale in a dumpster fire season. They're just getting money at this point and unloading assets. So, yeah. Next, the Wizards receive City Sissoko. Told you he was traded again. 2028 second-round pick via Denver. 2029 second-round pick, B+. Because they get future picks. And a bench piece to get rid of a veteran. So, good job. Good job, Washington. Okay, now the Kings get Jonas Valanciunas. I gave them an A-. Because you know why? It's a win-win trade. Because the Kings want a little bit more because they get a nice center and they didn't really give up much to do so. City Sissoko was not even going to play in Sacramento. And, yeah. And they get a position of need. They really need a backup center. They need extra rebounding. And guess who does that really well? Jonas Valanciunas. So, good job, Sacramento. Okay, now, here's the trade we've all been waiting for. Luka got traded before this guy. De'Aaron Fox got traded before this guy. Last night, blockbuster trade. The Warriors received Jimmy Butler, B+, because the talent is undeniable, but will he truly buy in? He signed a 2-year, $121 million contract extension, but will he actually be happy? And will this trade put the Warriors into title contention? No, it won't. No. They're going to ride off in the sunset with no more rings. So, who knows? I could be wrong, but I don't think I will be. Okay, the Heat received Andrew Wiggins, PJ Tucker, a first-round pick, and Kyle Anderson. B-, because the drama is over, but this package is very minuscule. It's not a terrible package, is why I gave him a B+, compared to the talent that Jimmy Butler is. But Wiggins is a very good player. PJ Tucker is a very Miami Heat-style player. Newsflash, he was traded after I wrote this. And depending on the year the first is, it could be a really valuable first. And the Pistons received Lindy Waters, Josh Richardson, and a second-round pick. Josh Richardson was already waived, so I look like a fucking idiot. I look like an idiot writing this because so much happened. I should have just written all this today after the damn trade deadline. I didn't. I wrote it earlier this week. They get draft capital and solid depth. One of the players isn't even there anymore. Whatever. Look, this trade was modified so much I had to scratch out half of the damn page. Because no more Jazz, no more Raptors. Good job, Utah. Good job, Toronto. Way to screw my notes. Okay, now the Raptors are another trade because they get Brandon Ingram. I gave them a B because it's a very confusing move. They gave up picks, and they're clearly in rebuild mode, and they should not be trading draft capital. But, on the other hand, Brandon Ingram is a very solid player. So, he could help the Raptors next year if he resigns. If he resigns, who knows if Brandon Ingram is going to resign. So, look at that. We're almost done with my notes, everybody. We only have 4.5 more pages. Let's go. The Pelicans received Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, a first-round pick, and a second-round pick. A-, because the Pelicans get draft capital to unload Brandon Ingram and get 2 solid bench players who will play meaningful roles. Good job, New Orleans. You get draft picks. You get bench players. You get an A-. Okay, the Lakers made another trade because they had no centers pretty much after the Lakers traded Anthony Davis away. The Lakers received Mark Williams, B+, because the Lakers get a solid young center who, if he can get past his injury issues, is the perfect Luka Doncic center. And the Hornets receive Dalton Knecht, Cam Reddish, a 2031 unprotected first-round pick, and a 2030 pick swap. They get an A+ because they got more first-round picks than the Dallas Mavericks did for trading Luka Doncic. There's more, but the Hornets get the best player in the 2024 draft in Dalton Knecht. A nice bench piece, and they got draft picks. Dallas. The Hornets got more draft picks for trading away a worse player than Luka Doncic. Damn idiots. Okay. This all happened this morning while I was at work. That's why it's all in different color ink. Because it's black ink. So, oh well. The Wizards received Reggie Jackson and a first-round pick, 2026, least favorable via the Clippers, OKC, and Houston. They get a draft pick and get a player to be a mentor or will be bought out. He was traded later in the day, so he wasn't bought out. Now, the Sixers received Jared Butler and 4 second-round picks, one of which is in 2027, one of which is in 2028, and 2 of which are in 2030. The Wizards got a B because they got a draft pick. And the Sixers get a C+ because they get a young bench player and get picks, but I don't understand giving up picks to get 4 second-round picks. The Heat received Davion Mitchell, B, because they get a nice defensive depth point guard. And the Raptors receive PJ Tucker. Yes, PJ Tucker was traded like 8 hours after the Jimmy Butler trade. And a second round pick and cash because PJ C plus. I gave them a C plus because PJ Tucker may be moved by the time I finish writing this, which he wasn't, but he was traded 4 times in 5 days. And then the Spurs trade Patrick Baldwin Jr. and cash, or they receive Patrick Baldwin Jr. and cash, and in return the Milwaukee Bucks get nothing. They get a C because they get a nice depth piece. Okay, the Hornets receive Yusuf Nurkic 2026 first, C plus because they get a first rounder and they get a decent center. The Suns receive Cody Martin, Vasilije Micic, and a 2026 second, B plus because good job getting role players and a nice defender in Cody Martin. He's a nice 3-and-D player. So. Okay, the Cavs receive DeAndre Hunter, A minus because he's one of the league's best teams, continues to get better. DeAndre Hunter is going to flourish as a starter for Cleveland. A minus. They're probably A, actually. I'm upping this to an A. They didn't really give up all that much either. The Hawks receive Karis LeVert, Georges Niang, and 3 second-round picks, 2 of which are pick swaps. B minus because they get a decent haul for a player of Hunter's caliber. You could have got more, but you got a good haul. You get 2 nice bench players and you get 3 picks. There you go. Okay, now you can tell when I got home because it's blue ink again. The Hawks receive Terrence Mann and Bones Highland, B minus, because the Hawks get a decent young wing and good depth, and they unloaded Bogdan Bogdanovic's contract, who's not playing all that well this year. The Clippers receive Bogdan Bogdanovic and 3 second-round picks. What the hell is up with all the second-round picks being traded? Because we're not done. There's still more trades that involve second-round picks here. B minus. The Clippers take a flyer on hopes that Bogdan Bogdanovic can go back to his prime self. Who knows? But still, they didn't really give up much. The Hawks are in another trade, because the Hawks receive draft rights to Alpha Kaba. C. He may never even play in the NBA. But at least they unload Cody Zeller. And the Rockets receive Cody Zeller in a 2028 second. Nice veteran presence. I gave them a C because he's a nice veteran presence, but probably won't get minutes. Alrighty, the Grizzlies receive Marvin Bagley, Johnny Davis, a 2028 second, and a first and 1 other second round pick. I gave them a C plus because Marvin Bagley is a nice bench piece who could spot start, and they take a flyer on Johnny Davis, turning into something, and they get 2 second round draft picks. But they're not really meaningful players right now. So who knows how this trade could turn out. The Wizards get Marcus Smart, Alex Len, Colby Jones, and a 2025 first via Memphis. I gave them a B minus because they get a great defensive veteran and a former defensive player of the year in Marcus Smart. They get a first this year in a very good draft class, and they get a nice a young player and a veteran in Alex Len for the young players to learn under. So, yeah. And the Kings were involved in this trade too. Yes, Kings made a 3rd trade because the Kings received Jake LaRavia. I gave them a B because after almost fumbling the De'Aaron Fox trade, the Kings made some solid trades, including this one. LaRavia is a nice bench piece, so he's a good shooter from the forward position, so which is in today's NBA very much needed. Next, the Bucks received KPJ, Kevin Porter Jr. I gave them a B because they get a microwave off the bench. He can score the ball, and they're gonna need it off the bench with Dame and Giannis off the floor. And then the Clippers received Marjon Beauchamp. I gave them a C minus because they could have gotten more solely based off of Kevin Porter Jr.'s talent. And then this is the main event trade, everybody. This is the trade that broke the internet right here. The greatest trade of all time. The Indiana Pacers. Wait, hold on. Drum roll. Drum roll, please. Drum roll, please. Okay. The Indiana Pacers receive a 2nd round pick. Top 55 protected. I give them a C+. Because they got something for getting off of James Wiseman's contract. And the Raptors add James Wiseman and cash. I give them a C- because they traded away a pick for a guy who may not see the floor for another year, if at all again. Well, that was the 2025 NBA trade deadline. This was arguably the wildest trade deadline we have ever seen. Well, no, correction. It is the wildest trade deadline we've ever seen. Which means we won't get any wild trades in the NBA for the next 6 years. That's exactly what this means. Because we got all the blockbuster trades. This trade deadline, that's going to be the basketball world's way of saying, we gave you what you want. We traded Jimmy Butler. We traded Luka. We traded De'Aaron Fox. Brandon Ingram, whoever the hell again. So now you guys are going to get nothing for years. But we got an absolutely insane trade deadline. This was a different video because obviously it's going to be horizontal and not vertical, because this one's just going on YouTube because it's 26 minutes right now. And I don't think even cutting out a lot of the flappering, that it would have been under 10 minutes. So it had to be over 10 minutes regardless because of all these. You could literally write a short story with how many pieces of paper I used to write all these notes. But that's going to do it. Hope you guys liked the video. Leave your opinions down below on trades, on my grades, because some people are going to have differing opinions than I do. That's obvious because it's the world of sports and nobody ever has the same opinion on anything. If you guys liked the video, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, and as always,